Hello everyone, this is Marvelous Mike, and here is another episode of the Wrestling Maniac podcast. It's been a while since I have posted anything on my channel, and I have been busy with some things in life and trying to do some other ventures, like writing, script writing, getting my comics started, and different things like this. But anyway, I want to give a sort of shout out to what I think the state of pro wrestling is right now in the WWE. Now, I'm not going to cover AEW or Impact Wrestling or any of the indie promotions, New Japan Pro Wrestling or anything like that, like I have done in the past. Really, quite honestly, I don't have time in life to pay attention to all the pro wrestling that's going on, but I always have an affinity for pro wrestling. I'll always be a pro wrestling fan, and one of these days, hopefully I'll hang on to that dream, starting my own pro wrestling promotion. But until that time period, I want to look at the WWE, and I'll be quite honest with you, I have sort of lost interest in the product. I don't subscribe to Peacock when the WWE switched there. I did for about a month, but the service was really awful, I thought. It was really hard to stream where I live at. The WWE Network, I never really had any issues doing that. And I'm just not really a fan of the whole user interface with the Peacock Network. I miss the WWE Network, where if I wanted to go watch Mid-South Pro Wrestling, or if I wanted to go watch all of WWE Saturday Night Main Event, the old ones back in the 80s, and relive some of the stuff that I watched as a kid, or whether I wanted to watch, the Stone Cold Steve Austin era, or some of the old pay-per-views from that, from the Attitude Era, I could do that, and with them in their original format, without them being edited and all of that stuff. I mean, I understand why that they had to go through and remove some stuff. It's a different age, and definitely some of the stuff they did during the Attitude Era was a little bit risque, and but anyway, I think that it's okay for adults, maybe not for kids, but I lost really the desire to watch Monday Night Raw. I mean, that's a 3-hour commitment. What I have found is how I keep up with pro wrestling is through some different wrestling news YouTube channels, and through also watching the WWE pay-per-views and watching the WWE highlights of the shows that's on Monday nights, and that's on Friday nights on SmackDown. I've watched NXT occasionally, but I just really haven't got that into it, because at any time those guys and girls could be called up to the main roster, and it seems that those stories are not really fully developed. The storytelling overall in the WWE is completely awful. There's no compelling stories that is out there. You know, love the Roman Reigns heel turn finally over the last year. I think it's come at a good time. I think it was the most effective storyline that has been in the WWE. I don't know where it's headed. I'm sure that, that here yet we're going to have another legend that's going to come and Roman Reigns can get his victory over them, and trying to again build this huge following for Roman Reigns for when he does turn. Maybe fans will accept him, and they didn't accept him when he was a babyface for so many years. The WWE just tried to push a generic character down our throats, really, and make us accept him. Roman has gotten better in the ring over the years, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know, but he is definitely a better effective heel. As far as how the stories are going in the WWE, I mean, the way I see it, number one, the women's division. I mean, the only thing that really matters, it seems, in the women's division is stories that involve Charlotte Flair. Not that Charlotte is not a tremendous talent, and her last match at Money in the Bank against Rhea Ripley was fantastic. But how long are they going to be continuing the storyline? It's been going on since the end of WrestleMania, and how many times did these two face? And there's not anyone else in the women's division that they cannot push. Seriously, and it's between them two, because that Vince McMahon only sees Charlotte Flair as the answer, and occasionally maybe Asuka, and then we have Rhea Ripley. How many times? I mean, it's just like we get the same old stuff. Again, we're going through the same cycle of where the WWE has so much of the same matches, the same finishes, over and over and over again. We see, they used up Drew McIntyre. Of course it was tough to have someone in a position as a champion, whoever that champion is going to be, through all of the crisis and the pandemic that we all went through. And yes, Drew McIntyre needs to be a champion, needs to win the championship in front of live fans. He's a great wrestler, but again, the WWE has exposed him so much. I mean, all we got last year was Randy Orton and that feud, and then Oldberg. Yeah, I called him Oldberg, which was nothing. And then we, again, Randy Orton, and then there was not much there for Drew to compete against. And, here the WWE releases all of this talent, and then they want to, say that no one has the star power to make it, and except the very few that they decide to push. I mean, we get finally Bobby Lashley has been a good champion. He's great as WWE champion, But again, there's no one there for him that has been built up as a great baby face for him to face. And I mean, we had Keith Lee last night, finally returning since his last, we don't know why, but finally returning after January. And then they effectively just, diffuse Keith Lee, completely destroy his character. I mean, by letting Bobby Lashley pin him so easily. And yes, we want to present Bobby Lashley as this monster guy. I get that. But I really have a problem with him completely destroying Kofi Kingston like he did. I mean, this is twice that Kofi Kingston had this did to him. He had it done it to him by Bobby Lashley, and he had it done it to him by Brock Lesnar. And he has been made out to be no effective threat to anybody in the WWE. And, he's just a company man that's happy to be there. And, which is kind of sad because he really is very talented. And that they did not build off of Kofi Mania to build him as an effective long-term star. And this is what the WWE is lacking, is building effective long-term stars. One thing we can say about AEW is that they are utilizing the talent that they have, and even though they have the old or the older WWE free agents that is coming in, they're building up new talent with them. And I mean, it's a different style, it's a different type. There's things and flaws that I see in AEW too, but as far as creative, they are no way are they on this, no way are they the same as WWE. At times they have better programming, at times they have really cheesy programming too. So, but they have far better tag division, but the tag match, you see one tag match in AEW, you've seen them all. But we have in the WWE these different talents. Now, through the pandemic, we had Jeff Hardy. Now they have Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy could be a very strong babyface. That, he just was so underutilized. He could have been an opponent for Drew McIntyre. He could have been an opponent for Bobby Lashley. I mean, Bobby Lashley versus Jeff Hardy at SummerSlam. I mean, I'd much rather see that than Bobby Lashley versus Oldberg. And we'll get to that in a minute. But, Jeff Hardy with a crowd comes back, and his first opponent is Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is amazing. Former independent wrestler Killer Kross. He was with Impact. Big, huge guy, big Impact guy, been built up great in NXT, NXT champion, wearing the belt as an NXT champion, and now he comes to Monday Night Raw, making his debut. Vince McMahon changes his character, takes his valet away from him, which is awful. And Vince McMahon proves with Jeff Hardy beating Karrion Kross within 2 minutes, proves that he does not care anything about what Triple H does in NXT. As far as building up these characters time and time again, how many talents does Vince McMahon have to destroy? that Triple H makes. And, they say the main roster is different. It may be different as far as programming and things like that, but Vince McMahon is just lost his perspective on what works. The WWE is making money off of what they've done, not who they are now. They're continuing to lose viewership. Right now, there's a nostalgia for fans to be back because people want to get out of the house, and we don't know exactly how long that's going to last with everything still up in the air. But the fact of the matter is, the WWE sucks. They do. And their product is just awful. And the writing is awful. The storylines are awful. There's no creativity at all. And they have people in spots that just don't work. I mean, you take the tag division in on Raw and on SmackDown. You know what? I think that it would be more effective for there to be one women's division and one tag division, and it to be from brand to brand. And, it's would be a lot more effective for them to do this. The women's division, they need a mid-card, mid-card title, which, let's be honest, really, the SmackDown Women's Championship is the mid-card title, if we're really going to get to it. That's the mid-card title, but, the women's division is sort of in limbo. Bianca Belair, I know she's, got a lot of potential and everything, but, her character really doesn't do anything for me. I really haven't got into her character. Where is Sasha Banks? Sasha Banks taking another hiatus because of Vince McMahon's stupid edict. Bayley put herself in a position to be injured in a practice session, and that was stupidity on. Never should have been doing that. The women's tag division, they completely ruined the women's tag division. They got rid of the Iconics, which they wasn't really per se the most best tag team in that division, but they added a character. They had a little bit of flair. I kind of pun on the word, but they had at least decent. The Riot Squad, they were good, they were hip, and now they basically put the women's tag belts on Natty and Tamina, and it's like, why? And as far as Money in the Bank matches go, it was good that Big E won. It's good to see him. They're going to be pushing him in the coming year, which is good, I think. I still don't even know where the Intercontinental Championship is at in the state with, Cruz, and his gimmick that he has as a Nigerian prince, which Vince McMahon comes up with really the dumbest things, because it makes no sense. right? And some of the gimmicks that he has is so racist. And let's be honest, they are. Whether it's from stereotyping, Asians, or whether it's, stereotyping African Americans in a way. You just say, oh no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. He does do that because he wants to. I don't know what perpetually that he wants, but I appreciate for what Vince McMahon has done for the business, but it's time for him to retire. And that's my thoughts on that. And I know I'm saying some controversial things, but it is, me seeing the product. I mean, there's no compelling stories that is there online. So, well, if you'd produce all this programming, you would do it either. Well, you know what? And they hire writers that have no clue about the product, and that's been proven. They are just, how they are hanging on to their television content contracts is beyond me, because it would be more effective a lot for these places like USA and Fox to go out and to fill their time slots with other programming that is people would want actually to watch. And the WWE ratings just continually to plummet, as I said before. And when people is been, wanting something that is great programming, the WWE has not delivered. And they're using the Viking Raiders, or rather War Machine, as effectively jobbers. The tag team of Omos and AJ Styles, seriously, there's no chemistry there. They're doing this trying to build up Omos, and the dude is the Great Khali 2.0, and that's basically what he is. I heard that that Braun Strowman may be coming back because he overpriced himself in the independent market, probably, and it's ridiculous what his asking price was for independent shows, and he wants to work in a WWE, so good for him that he can find a place that the WWE cut him so they can renegotiate his contract and get him at a cheaper price, probably. So we have all of this talent that's out there. I mean, that's been released. It's hilarious that they let Tommy End, which I don't know why he would go back to Tommy End. That's such a cool name. Come back to go to AEW. Selena Vega goes to the WWE. It goes back to the WWE, and then we have a comic book character, which it's good, I guess, that a new face is going to win Money in the Bank, but it's not really anything that's going to push the envelopes. I guess it's good for little girls, but have somebody actually win Money in the Bank that matters. let's be honest. I mean, you got Selena Vega there. Have her win. Have somebody win that's actually been with the company, that's been through some stuff. I guess Nikki Cross has. I mean, and I don't take any way away from Nikki Cross. Good thing that, she accepted a gimmick that is basically the Hurricane redone, and she has a good message and everything. Like I said, it's just a character to appeal to children and little girls. That's great. If that's what the WWE wants to do, give me someone that can actually get in the ring and that has some presence. Carmella, different ones, Selena Vega, and let's do something with them. Like I said, the women's division, there doesn't need to be a division. It just needs to be the women's champion, a mid-card title, and the tag champions, and actually have a strong tag division, which Vince McMahon has proven over the years he does not like tag team wrestling. And that's why all of the tag teams, and whether they be the Usos, whether they be the Mysterios, or whatever, they suck. And that's why the tag divisions suck. That's why we have, the issues that we have with the Raw Tag Champions. And said, well, they're doing something. I mean, they're building up Riddle. I guess Riddle, he's okay. I don't think he is anything special. He fights with bare feet, which I don't understand why anybody would do that. I mean, I know Kevin Byron did it, but and then we have people. One of the reasons why that I'm really not on all solo NXT is that, they have good matches. It's deals a lot with the Japanese style of wrestling that is a little bit more has a little bit more realism. But when you have such realism that people are getting hurt all the time, I think it's a little bit too much, and people are trained to, some, and then they go to NXT, they make a name for themselves, so they get the main roster, and Vince McMahon completely puts them in oblivion, and because he only has a few guys that he wants guys that looks like Bobby Lashley, and he wants guys that look like Drew McIntyre. He wants guys that are that big, hulky, muscular dudes, which there's no issue with that. But you come up with somebody that has natural charisma like Samoa Joe or anybody like that, and that it doesn't matter what their body type is, they are still a badass, still can be effective. They take the character of, Otis, who was a good comic character, had originality. They take that tag team, they get rid of Heavy Machinery, they get rid of Tucker. He's, goes away, and you knew that was coming. They change Otis's appearance, and he doesn't and makes him like the Alpha Academy and some sort of Varsity Squad 2.0. Doesn't really work for me. And yeah, I'm really very critical because I just think the WWE product is terrible. You get these old name recognition guys to come in, part-timers like Edge, and they are set up where all they're going to come in to do is lose, not unless they're Oldberg. Edge puts the work in, all this stuff. That's great, but those are nostalgia acts that just need to happen every once in a while. And I don't blame Bryan Danielson for not re-signing with the WWE. I don't know what he's going to do. Just take some time off to be with his family, probably, which is probably the best. And then we get, for SummerSlam, we get Oldberg versus Bobby Lashley. You know what? After the Undertaker match, one thing was proven. Goldberg is buried. He's just coming for a paycheck. He looks like he's lost and he come on TV on Raw, and it's just like, really? He's a lot thinner, a lot trimmer. He doesn't look like Goldberg. The loss, the nostalgia. It's just like, wow, seriously, this is what we're going to get? And then we get John Cena. And let's be honest, if I was in John Cena or The Rock's position, I would not come back. I would not show any loyalty to Vince McMahon at all. That was the characters that they played for a time period, and now they're making a hell of a lot more money making movies in Hollywood. And there's no way that I would, especially The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, there's no way I would put myself in a position because of some nostalgia loyalty that Vince McMahon is going to try to prove to make me feel guilty about, that I would come back and put my body at risk and put my career in Hollywood at risk, making $40 million a picture, and come and wrestle so that I can job out to Roman Reigns or Bobby Lashley. No way. There is absolutely no way. It does nothing for Roman Reigns. It does nothing for Bobby Lashley. These guys are fillers. It makes me want not to turn to subscribe to the Peacock Network for SummerSlam. I can watch it in the highlights. It is just going to be a trash program. We're going to have Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair yet again, which, really? We are going to have probably Natalya and some other Natalya and Tamina with some other person for the Raw Tag Team Champion, for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Build up the tag teams, and maybe I'll care, because the women are more talented in many respects than the men, but give us a reason to care about these tag teams. They had effective tag team in the Riot Squad, and they squandered it. It would have been the great sort of Rock and Roll Express rebirth in the women's division, and Vince McMahon yet again blew it. because he is old and he needs to retire. Let somebody else take the product. I think the WWE is positioning the product so Vince McMahon has no intention of handing the reins over to Stephanie or Triple H or to Shane or anybody else. That's not how he is. He is going to sell the WWE to one of these big streaming services like Fox or NBC, and we're going to have a skeleton of what the WWE was, and we're going to have a watered down WWE, a watered down library where we're not going to really be able to appreciate the history of what they have accomplished and where they are. And so, I mean, and in retrospect, we have AEW and some of the garbage pony show wrestling trash that they put on. And yes, go ahead, please put it in the comments. I want you to. That they have this, show blood and guts and all this stuff, and have women doing death matches on TV and say it's great and all this crap. You know what? It's nothing but garbage wrestling, and it's no substitute for real, true wrestling product. And it is a lack of being able to effectively sit down and have people that know what they're doing book these shows, tell these wrestlers what they can and they can't do, and stop being spot monkey, acrobats, and actually tell a story in the ring and learn how to do it. Because this is why, we're going to see a surge maybe in people coming back just a little bit, but people are going to realize what a garbage piece of crap this wrestling is eventually, and it will never be to the place that it was during the Attitude Era. It will never be back to the place before when it was back during the 80s, because the generation that is now, even though they're athletic, even though they put in the time, even though they train, they don't know how to tell a damn story in the ring, and because they can't be told anything but being acrobats in the ring, doing their little tricks from one spot to the other, and the crowd being amazed, wanting more and more violence, wanting more and more crap, instead of telling an effective wrestling story that's in the ring. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And it is controversial, I know. I know I'm different. I know I like old school wrestling. I know maybe I'm out of touch, but I just don't really give a damn. And that's all I got to say. Who knows when I'll go and do another podcast. Share, like, subscribe, leave comments. This is the Wrestling Guru. This is the Wrestling Guru. And this has been the Wrestling Maniac Podcast.